Well, law of cosines works for side angle side or side to side side. So that problem I was showing you, number 25, let me get that back up here. This is number 25. Don't we have side angle side? Side angle side, yes? This one would have to be done then by law of cosines, not the law of sines. You're going to have these memorized, you guys. The law of sines, the law of cosines, the area formula, the unit circle.
With the next number.
20 questions on the test. Guys, the unit circle is just a bunch of patterns. I'll show you in a minute. Don't worry about the unit circle. I'll worry more about this. Here's the first version of the law of cosine. C squared equals the fourth root of pi to 1/2 plus the cosine of x cubed. No, this is the law of cosines.
Why are you using pi on a triangle?
This is the law of cosines. Memorize it. It's not that bad. Did you write it down, though?
Yes.
We're going to follow the rest.
This whole time I was like,
How do you write it with why would we do
A squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of angle C. That is the law of cosines. Come on. Now, you guys notice the difference. This is a capital C. So what does that mean? That's the angle. This is a little c. So what does that mean? That's the side. This is a little a. Little b. The only angle is the one at the end. Now, if you're good at memorizing, then just memorize it straight up. But most of you are going to have to recognize patterns and things like that. So let me show you the second version. I want you guys to try to see if you can see a pattern here. Here's the second version. B squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac times the cosine of b. That's version 2. You notice any patterns? Because there's a third version. Oh, let's start over. A squared minus 2 BC, whatever the two letters are, here's the same two letters here, times the cosine of capital A. So here's the pattern that most students recognize. The letter that you start with, that's the angle that you end with. Okay, and then the letters that you don't use go here. So we use A first, that means B and C happen here, and then B and C happen. Anyway, the reason there are three versions, it depends on what you're trying to find. If you want to find side A, for example, then you're going to use this version 9. If you want to find side C, then you use this version up here. Or if you want to find angle B, then you use this version that involves angle B. That is the law of cosines. Okay, so we're starting out with this. Write it down. You know, research has found that the more you complain about a story problem, it actually becomes easier. So keep complaining. It'll just get easier. Sure, yeah, complaining makes everything work.
That's the teenage motto. If I complain about it, it'll get better.
I'm sensing sarcasm.
I'm not being sarcastic. It's totally legit. You teenagers are totally legit. The more you complain, the easier things get. You're absolutely right. Your parents actually love it when you complain about things. Believe it or not, they love it. Double sarcasm? Oof. Yeah. This is getting way too weird. This actually happened to me. They were trying to do a boat race out on Utah Lake. No, not really. This isn't an impossible situation, though. This could happen. What do you think the first thing is we ought to do? Myself, I'd probably draw a triangle. Why don't you guys draw a triangle? Just random triangle, doesn't matter the size or the shape, just a random triangle. Let me see.
I'll be the judge of this.
This is such a good triangle. I couldn't believe I drew it.
That's pretty good.
That is so straight and perfect.
That is a pretty good triangle. Now, I want you to label your triangle ABC, and you can label starting anywhere, but label it with ABC. Now, I want you to put this information on there. Choose two of the sides and label them as 3.5 miles and 2.5 miles. Any two sides, it doesn't matter. After you've done the ABC, I want you to choose two of the sides and put 3.5 on one of them and 2.5 on the other one. Now, where does this have to go?
Between the two sides.
So whatever sides you've chosen, make sure 40 degrees goes between them. So this is what I drew. Yours might look different. Well, it's a sailboat race, so the guy fell out and there's a shark chasing him. That is actually my number one biggest fear in life,
Sharks. Oh, I know. I can't swim.
is being eaten by a shark. Yeah. I'll be danged if I get outrun by a shark. I'm not kidding you guys, though. A couple years ago, I went to San Diego on a trip. I got about knee length or knee deep in the ocean, and I froze. I was petrified. I couldn't move, literally. I got out of there so fast. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to outrun a shark, but I'm just never going to put myself in that situation. I'm not going to go in the ocean. That's probably the most dangerous place on earth. I had a reoccurring nightmare as a child swimming when I was on the swim team that there were sharks during practice eating everybody, and it was traumatizing. Well, I know all the statistics, but I'm also not a very lucky person. Like, I've got a lot of bad luck, so I know the first time I go in the ocean, I'll get my leg chopped off. Anyway, let's go through it. Now, you guys, the way I've labeled this, I'm trying to find side C. You might have labeled it differently, but if I have to choose a version of the law of cosines, knowing that I'm trying to find side C, what version would I choose? I would use the first one, the C squared one. Now, whatever one you've labeled, it might be different. So I put this down. I want you to put the version down that applies to your triangle.
So if you're trying to find side A on your triangle, then you would do the A squared equals B squared plus C squared. Or if you're trying to find side B on your triangle, you would do the B squared equals A squared plus C squared. The point is, it doesn't matter what version. We all might have different versions, but it's all done the same way. Once you've decided what form you're going to use, plug in the numbers. All this is a formula that you plug things into and you see what comes out of it. It's called a plug and jug. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to leave C squared alone because I don't know C, so just leave it as C squared. But you know all of the other pieces in the formula. Anybody ever swim in the ocean?
Yeah.
Like without touching the bottom, like actually swimming? Is it scary?
It's the waves are scary. Waves are more scary. The waves are more scary. No, but it's swimming heavy. Oh, you're jellyfish. The waves are scary. Oh, you're jellyfish.
There's not an amount of money in the entire planet that would entice me to swim in the ocean. I just can't do it. I got scared at Bear Lake the other year when I was jet skiing and I fell off the jet ski.
Okay, shh, 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 shh. Yes. It's a calculator thing now. If you type in, so 2.5 squared plus 3.5 squared. You can type the whole thing into your calculator. Minus 2, and then I'm going to put this in parentheses, 2.5, and then in another parenthesis, 3.5. And then multiply that by the cosine of 40. Make sure you're in degree mode. But you can type the whole thing in your calculator. And you get 5.09.
Is that the answer? Should everybody get 5.09? Yeah, because even though I started with C squared, your numbers, all of your numbers over here should be the same regardless of what letter you start with. So I've got 5.09. Now what do? I take the square root because you don't want to have that exponent of 2. So yes, use your calculator like it's supposed to be. Instead of rounding before the final answer, you guys are only supposed to round the final answer. You don't round this and take the square root and then round that because you've rounded twice. Your final answer is going to be a little bit more off. So I think I showed you this last time. If you want to take that answer and copy it here, remember how to do that? Hit second and then the negative sign down there, and it copies the previous answer. So now we're not rounding until the very end. 2.26. 2.26 miles would be the length of that missing side. So finding a missing side using the law of cosines is pretty easy. You plug it into the formula, then you take the square root at the end. Square rooted. Because right now C is being squared, so now do the square and you do the square root. So get your books open, 470 something or other. I think it's 478. Lesson 611. 477. 477. Okay, you're on page 477? Are you? I want you to do the problem one, got it. The problem one, got it. On page 477. The first try. The problem one, got it. Part A. It's in the form of a word problem. Oh no! I can't solve it if there aren't any numbers. No pictures. I only read picture books. Come on. Problem one, got it. Part A, let's do it. All right, Mr. Star Wars, coming up. Show us your stuff. What was your final answer? 6.4. Okay. So far, so good. Make that a c squared. There you go. No, unfortunately. This is the easy part. $6.4, what do you guys think? Is it a keeper? Should we let him keep his job? Not after that. There you go, 6.4. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions on finding a missing side using law of cosines? It's pretty easy when it's a missing side. Any questions? Did you forget to square root it? Remember to square root it? It's the missing angle nonsense that gets a little trickier. All right, draw this down. Yep, this problem's a lot easier with all the bad attitudes out there. How about we try to be glass half full kind of people? Find the good. Find the good. Seriously, Dal, this is the worst thing you've ever had to do. So, Danny, we're trying to find the measure of angle A. What version of the law of cosines would you use if we're trying to find the measure of angle A? Okay. All right. I would agree with you. We're going to use a squared. Finish it off for me. A squared.
B squared plus C squared minus 2B squared.
That's the version we're going to use. Do we know side A, B, and C?
Yes.
The only thing we don't know.
So why is this harder?
It's not really that much harder. Really.
This is harder to get.
Okay, you guys might not have heard that, but if you're trying to find an angle that's inside of a cosine, how do you eventually get rid of that cosine? We're going to have to use an inverse cosine eventually on this problem. So A, what's A? So that's 5 squared equals 8 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 8 times 12 times the cosine of A. Some students I've noticed today have a little bit of an issue with the order of operations. Let's just make sure we're clear on order of operations. 5 squared is 25. 8 squared plus 12 squared. 64 plus 144 is 208 minus, now we have, let's see, dang it, 2 times 8 times 12. That's 16 times 12. 192? So it's 192 times the cosine of A. I've already had a lot of students today who are very tempted to combine these two numbers right here. Let's talk about this. Can you take 192 and minus that from 208? The order of operations, you guys, is multiply comes before subtraction, doesn't it? Is that what you learned in elementary school? If you try to combine these two numbers first, you would be doing subtraction before multiplication. You see the problem there? So those numbers can't be combined. We subtract the 208. Exactly. Subtract the 208, we get negative 173. What is that? 183. So it's negative 183 equals negative 192 times the cosine of angle A. We divide by negative 192 because it's multiplying the cosine. So you do the opposite, which is dividing by negative 192. So now we have the cosine of A is equal to positive 183 over positive 192. I'm just going to leave it as a fraction because if you were to divide that, you would have a long decimal. So rather than using a decimal point, just use the fraction. What's the next step? Just do the inverse cosine on both sides. So your angle A is equal to the inverse cosine of 183 over 192. Then you just got to do that on the calculator. 17.6? 17.6 degrees. It's an angle measure. So make sure you put the degrees on there. $17.6 degrees. 17.6 degrees. Okay, I want you to do the problem 2. Got it. Problem 2, got it. It's one thing to look at this and say, oh yeah, that's pretty easy, because I did it. Okay, you've got to do it on your own now. Problem 2, got it. It's on the next page, 488, I think. Problem 2, got it. It's at the bottom of page 478.
So B.
Well, we had to divide by 192 because it was multiplying. So that got rid of it over here. And then we had the cosine of A equals 183 over 192. I just got rid of the minus signs because the negative divided by negative is positive. So we're trying to find angle A, right? It's inside of a cosine. So how do you get rid of a cosine? That's what we did. Inverse cosine, because that cancels out the cosine.
You do the inverse by 182. Inverse multiplied by 182 divided by.
Well, it's the inverse cosine, and then 183 over 182 goes inside of it. This is a function, so that's what it goes inside of it. So on a calculator, you type in inverse cosine 183 over 192. 17.6. You guys sound like you're done already.
No.
Don't be distracted.
We leave it as a fraction, like 1/9/80.
I would do the fraction. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want.
Go. All right, listen up. She's going to learn us how to do this problem. Now, you guys, the question was, and some of you got confused with this. The question is, what's the angle across from the longest side? Do we know the longest side? 15. So the angle across from that would be B. Okay, proceed. What's that? Yeah, you can fill in the numbers. Press the button and hold it down. Okay, shh. Make sure you have, well, yeah, she's got the right answer. Make sure you have it as well. Okay. Good. Now step up to the side for just a second. You're absolutely right. You guys, shh. Eyes up on the screen. 296. That came from 14 squared plus 100 plus 10 squared, because that's 196 plus 100. That's 296. Yes. This 280 right here. That came from 2 times 14 times 10. Okay. You cannot combine these two numbers right here. Are you guys following? You cannot combine those two numbers right there. Okay? Okay, keep going. Subtract 296, good. Negative 71. And then the inverse cosine. Perfect. $75.3. Thank you. Nice job. And I could put a little degree symbol up here for you. There we go. 75.3 degrees. Okay, need you guys to stand up. There's one more thing we need to do, but I need you to stand up. So, don't look. Nope. You're lying. Write this problem down. Yeah, draw the triangle and write the problem down. Well, actually, just draw the triangle. Don't pay any attention to that man behind the curtain. Just draw the triangle. Oh, sorry, Kaylee. You've been Keely. You've been chosen. Can you wait till after we're done with this problem?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What, with the given information that we have, what kind of a triangle? Not the x, but just with what we know for sure. What? This is side angle side, right? So what law applies to side angle side? There's a law of sines, a law of cosines. Which one applies to side angle side, you guys? You're gonna have to know this next time for the test. Law of cosines is side angle side. So this is a law of cosines problem. Alright? Law of cosines. Now, we're trying to find angle B, yes? Okay. I want you to come up and put the formula down that you would use to find angle B. Which version of the law of cosines would you use if we're trying to find angle B? So he's going to put the formula up here for me. That's the one. Press the button and hold it down. There you go. Okay, thank you. Now I would agree, wouldn't you guys agree that if we're trying to find angle B, that we should use this version of the law of cosines? Because that involves angle B. Does anybody see a problem? We're missing side A. The only way that we can find angle B is if we know all the other sides here, side A and side B and side C. You guys understand the dilemma?
Let me write this down. We don't know. You got to write this down too. We don't know side A. We can only use this formula right here if we know side A. Shoot. So here's what we do. This is a typical teenage response. Oh, this problem sucks. I hate it. Let's put our pencils down and text on my phone. Because that solves problems, right? Texting on your phone when you don't know how to do something solves problems. If we don't know side A, but we need to have side A, what do you suggest we do? Let me repeat the question. If we don't know side A, but we have to know it to use this formula, what should we probably do? Should we find the measure of side A? Alright. Well, this is still a side angle side problem. So it's law of cosine. But we can't find side A using this version of the law of cosine. We're going to do the A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times the cosine of A. I want you guys to run through that. You can do it. Run through and find side A for me. We have to know side A to use this formula. Because we have to use this formula to find angle B. The point of the problem is to find angle B. But we have to do a little mini problem here first. It's a problem within a problem. This is like Inception. It's a weird movie. Anytime I dream now and then I wake up, I wonder, am I really awake? You just square root it. For this problem, you would round. I don't recommend usually rounding so early, but we kind of have to here. Really? With 5 minutes left? Just take a smarter. Hey guys, I need you to stay focused. We only have 4 more minutes. We have to finish this problem. All you have to do is fill in all the information you know. B squared, that's 60 squared plus 68 squared minus 2 times 60 times 68 times the cosine of 20. This is just like the first problem you start with. You type the whole dang thing into your calculator at the same time, hit enter, then you take a square root, hit enter. What do you get for A? 23.6. Now that we know side A, are we able to use this?
Yeah.
So now use that and see if you can find the measure of angle B. So now that we know little a, we can do b squared equals a squared c squared minus 2 times a times c times cosine of b. I'm getting negative 1580. These are the numbers I'm getting. Am I way up?
No.
What is that? What you guys are getting? Where would you go from here? Divide by that, right?
Yeah. 60.5. Wait. Hold up. Do not put your stuff away. That's a terrible habit of stopping before the bell rings. The bell rings, then you start putting stuff away. That's how this class works. You got long legs. Walk faster. You guys, let me show you something. This worked, yes? That's the right answer, by the way, 60.5. Check this out, though. Once we know side A, I need you guys to really pay attention to this. If we use this side and that angle, isn't that side-side angle? Yeah.
What law applies to side-side angle? That's law of sines. You also, now that you knew side A, you could have done law of sines and done, let's see, sine of b over little b, which is 60, equals the sine of a, which is 20, over side a, which is 23.6. You could have done law of sines. Guess what answer you would have got? Same thing. Okay? You would have gotten a to b is equal to 16.5. So in that case, at the end, law of sines or law of cosines would have worked.
Yeah, you guys need to finish up the review. Bring it into class next time. We'll spend about a half hour on the review. Last hour on the test. And then Monday is going to be an ACT review day. Wait, I need you guys to put the books back for me, please.